Welcome to the Top 200 podcast with your host, Herschel Florent.
What's up, everybody? It's Herschel Florent from High School Top 200, and welcome back to the Monday morning meeting. I am Herschel Florent. I run High School Top 200. So if you're here for the first time and you've seen my website and you've seen my posts online from Instagram or Facebook or TikTok or whatever, this is me. I'm the one that does High School Top 200. It's all opinion based, so I'll let you guys know from the jump. It's all opinion based. It's all for you guys to go out there and see the talent that we have here in New Zealand, and for you to judge sort of for yourself. All the stuff that I put out is just what I think. Please go out and challenge what I think as well, and hit me back. Let me know what you think I got right, what you think I got wrong, and and just keep supporting the boys and what they do for First Tauranga Rugby, because they all work really hard. All the coaches work really hard, volunteers, mums and dads, all that kind of stuff too. So go have a watch. Follow me on my socials on Facebook, which is High School Top 200. On Instagram, it's at the real HS Top 200, and TikTok is HS Top 200 as well. Please go on and subscribe to my website on hstop200.com. It's a $5 subscription, and then you get everything that there is to know about First Tauranga Rugby here in New Zealand, on all the players, all the records, and there's rankings that you can go on for teams and players, and we've got 3 different grades from Year 13, Year 12 and Year 11 grades as well, of the players that are coming up through First Tauranga Rugby. So go and have a look at that. Get to know all the players before they become something and before they become famous and professionals and internationals and all that kind of stuff. And even watching over the weekend with the rugby with the All Blacks, watching Australia and Wales, and being able to sort of see some of these guys that have been through First Tauranga Rugby here in New Zealand and playing internationals overseas. It's really cool to see, and so I think it's like one of those things that we should sort of cherish the moments we have now with all our kids and watching them play all that kind of stuff, because we don't know where they're going to end up. We don't even know what this is going to be, so for me right now, why I do this is I give them their flowers while they're here, while they're working hard before they become something. And then whatever else happens after this is, just a lot of bonuses. But I love this level of rugby, and I love watching this level of rugby where it's just a lot of passion and pride for your school and for your mates, and seeing guys, have an opportunity to go for the dream that they have, just heaps of hard work. That's what I like. I like the grind of it that we see from all these players. We're going to get through some stuff today, because we used some massive games. Obviously, when I was watching Tauranga boys, the number 1 team in the country play against Hamilton boys, which is ranked number 3. And with these rankings, obviously rankings are just rankings, all opinion based. And I think the most important thing you should know about rankings is that the game still has to be played, regardless of what your thoughts and feelings are of whatever. The boys still have to go out on the field. The boys still have to play the game. The boys still have to wait till that last, whistle, and hope that they have more points than the other team. That's all that this is. And so even with Hamilton boys with a few chances of winning that game, the reality is they just didn't, That's the reality is that they just didn't. And the most important thing to do is make sure when you have those chances to grab points or to make a difference for your team, is that you're there to do it. And I am not even just talking about the missed kicks that were there. There were some cleanouts, things like that, missed tackles. Obviously, I think it was Henry. I think Henry was the one, Lumley, who was like at that last minute when the ball was kicked down by, I can't remember who kicked it down. Might have been Mason versus, but he went to run and grab it, and then he pulled his muscle, and everyone was looking like, what happened? I was just like, bro, there's just things that happen. He just went to pull his muscle. I think Ross might have come around and helped him out by then. I think it was him. But it's just all these little chances and moments that we have. It's just like all those things matter. All those little things matter. Even though some of those missed tackles, missed coverages, reads that were gone, that were just lurking, and there were guys like from both sides when I'd be listening to them, because this is the reason why I like being on the field and I'd rather go to games, because I like listening to how they talk to each other and sort of the instructions, because you got guys that know what's happening, they can see what's going on, these guys that just don't, and they're just sort of just following the ball. And it's being able to dictate what's going to go on. I like watching Aiden Spratley, because he's kind of like that too. Whereas sometimes I've seen Aiden pull out of situations, and then I go and I'm kind of thinking, oh, where's he off to? And then he'll move to a spot, and then it's like he knows that even though the play's right here, the aim is not here, the point of attack is not at that point, and then he moves to where the point of attack is, and like doing things like that. Aaron Riley, I've seen him a few times in a few games now, where a play looks like it's supposed to be for him, and then he pulls back and he waits 2 more plays, and then you see him link up with Judah. And I kind of saw it on that first break. Like if you watch him, I was watching it on live, but then when I went and watched it again, you kind of see the process happen, and that was off a set play, and they tried it before. I think they tried it on another play, didn't work out, and situations also was that other case where it just didn't work out. But once Aaron got through on that break set up by Judah, like things like those kind of opportunities to me is what I like looking for. And like even when I rank players and rank teams, like I don't look for like flash stuff. I kind of look for what coaches and selectors look for, and what things they like to add to their team when they have a team, and as flash as you want to be, and as much footwork and big hits and all that kind of stuff, at the end of the day, teams, like coaches, don't care about that stuff. Selectors don't care about that stuff. We as fans more like it, but then when it comes down to role play, what your role is in the team, and what that's what people look for. Tauranga is that kind of way. Hamilton boys have always been that kind of way. Tauranga is kind of just doing that now, where they play at a style that they're disciplined and staying with. Hamilton have always been on the side of discipline to their game plan and discipline to their fitness. And when they stick to their game plan, once oppositions get tired, the game plan starts to work, and then they move the ball at speed. And it always makes it look like they're now putting on the speed, and it's not that. It's that they've started at a high speed, they've kept that same high speed, the other team just seems to drop off. And when the other team drops off, Hamilton boys fitness takes over, and then they carry on with their game plan, still with that same discipline. Like that's why you don't really see a lot of mistakes or stupid thrown passes, because like if you see a pass that's thrown or pass that's not given when they know they should have given it, you can see them on after that play getting in trouble, not just from coaches, from the players. The players hold themselves responsible and accountable for what they do. Tauranga now is doing that same thing, where I've seen Charlie have a go at someone like Nikolai, or Aiden have a go at Aaron, or Aaron have a go at Charlie, or Mason gets at Judah, or Judah gets at Ethan or someone like that, and all these guys. And then it's not an argument. It's like, bro, you've got to acknowledge what you've done, bro. Like, own up to that, and then take care of it, get rid of it. That's what these guys are doing now. Something that Hamilton boys has been doing for a while. And then to see these two teams come at it like they did on, Thursday? honestly, it was probably the best game of first 15 I've been to and that I've seen. And this is for another time, but this is why we need to change the top 4 and how it is done. Because if you watch it, these two teams should be in the top 4 finals. And teams like Kelston and Auckland Grammar and, you know, more Auckland teams should be in there, more Hamilton teams should be in there. Hastings and Napier should be able to play each other if it ends up being into a final, things like that. And like that's the situation this year, is that what game that we saw there on a Thursday has exactly how a final should be played, and by those types of teams. Whereas now we're seeing it in a different way. Like I feel like, just to get off track just a little bit, Tauranga, Nelson, Hamilton boys, St. Kentigern's right now are sort of the class teams and should probably be in the final with like a bracketed Hastings, Napier, Palmy, Auckland Grammar, like those kind of teams on the side. But those 4 teams, but in, you know, we're never going to see that because of the way that it's just set up. It's just set up so bad that you don't get your true top 4 teams. You get just the 4 teams that made it out of their regions, kind of thing. Strange, but I don't know. That's just up to them. But I felt like, for me, two of the best players to me was Liam van der Hayden and Nikolai Tehuia. Like, and those two are both year 12s. Both year 12s, both tight head props, probably both about 6'6", 6'5", 6'6", in shape fellas, and I kind of have this feeling. And if I was choosing New Zealand secondary schools as of kind of like right now, one or both of them would probably make it. And like, and it would be for the fact that like, having guys, like sometimes you want to select a team knowing that you want extra guys to be there who have made it twice. Sort of like how Charlie was selected last year, then he should probably make it again this year as well. But those two guys on Thursday were probably two of the best players in the game. It was just their overall ball running, their cleaning of the ruck, the activity that was going on, even on defense. The scrum time was so good because both of them on each side were just really having a go. And this is kind of like the first time I've ever seen Tauranga shunted in their scrums. And usually it's not that same case. It's like Tauranga have always, like throughout this year, have been so solid in their scrums, but when they got a pack like Hamilton boys who are equally kind of the same as them, Tauranga is the first time I've even seen them take a step back a little bit and then redeem themselves in the second half. But in terms of the rucks and set pieces and scrums and lineouts, tackling around the edges, line defense, like both teams were just going at it so much, and it was just such a high standard of game, and those two boys stood out to me. I think TY was the other one, Sinkinson was the other one, Tom Dyer for sure, Jack Miller, Alex Arnold was the other one too, who was also year 12, who's a lock for Hamilton boys. He was another one that stood out for me a lot, and just his overall presence around the field. He's not tall, lock tall, but his grind is kind of like that. He's got that lock grind on him, and he could be a lock 6. And like I've said before, I've talked about this before, and how many guys that we have next year in New Zealand that are lock 6, 8 kind of strong kind of guys, and it's really going to be interesting to see what they do even this year of how many guys get through, how many guys get picked for under 18s in their regions, all that kind of stuff. It was also good to see Mitch Swain and also Charlie Sinton go at each other, because I think those two are the two best halfbacks in New Zealand. Even with me, like Charlie, to me, I wasn't impressed with Charlie that much last year, and I think the Charlie that they picked last year is the Charlie that I thought he was going to be this year, because he's so fast and quick, and that passes is always going. And I think like his value is keeping that forward pack moving, which is one of those things that is sort of underrated, because you kind of think that that's just how it's supposed to go. But if you go watch a terrible halfback and you watch a good halfback, and then you kind of know, okay, that's kind of the difference. And trust me, like I watch first inning rugby at all levels, and I see terrible halfbacks all the time. And so when I get to see solid halfbacks like Mitch and Charlie, to me, those two right now in New Zealand secondary school kind of halfbacks. Overall general play, even like guiding their teams around the field, communications like the other one, they both happen to be captains, that kind of thing. Charlie and Mason is like a different kind of combination this year, and which helps it so much, having that Charlie Mason and Aaron Riley. And then when you have two like real fast, quick guys with quick feet like Judah and Kelly, like it doesn't help. It doesn't help the other team at all, because you don't know where you're supposed to have the weakness. When you kind of look at all that backline, you're just like, where do we go? I mean, if we can't get through the forwards, it's got to be somewhere in the backs. And you look at their backs, you're like, kind of like there's nothing there with Tauranga. And even like the game against Hamilton Boys, they proved it. I mean, I think even with Ollie and Hidaka was so good, so dominant, that even when he did make his breaks, it was quickly swallowed up by defense. Like even when he scored that try, like I showed that try there, and his one started off with two slow steps to his left, and then he just punched it with his left foot kick, and then he just took off. And it was like almost seeing those quick feet, and then even though he got through the defense, you could see that defense quickly swallow in. And that's kind of what that Tauranga defense does, is that they're good at pushing on the pressure of the ball, taking away those lanes, and then quickly spreading back out to sort of wall up again and then go for the next one. And even though Ollie and Hidaka were so good on that day, there was just like a massive battle within that midfield. And it was gutting that Ethan went out injured. Can't remember what minute it was, but him coming off didn't look great either. Like I hope he's all good, but it didn't look great, because he's had like a really good season so far, and so I hope he's all right. But yeah, Hamilton boys have been trying a bunch of stuff this year, and it is a different Hamilton boys team. It is a different Hamilton boys team. It is a different Hamilton boys team that you're used to, and it just looks like they are trying things. Obviously, like Nico has come in at first five, fullback, tried some at wing. Maxwell's had a go. Ollie Parkinson's been in there as well. Having Ross Anderson moving sort of around, Mika having a go at midfield and coming back, and all those kind of things. And they need to find what works, and I think they're getting there. Hamilton boys have always kind of been a slow team to start off with anyway, because they don't have any kind of pre-seasons, but they seem to be finding their comfortable spot that they should be able to finish the season and then sort of make their run for the top 4. Tauranga boys are still the number 1 team in the country, still proven, even with that hard game against Hamilton boys, that they can finish games. Yes, luck is part of it, whereas chasing up and hitting down a kick and then just leaving it to chance that, you know, the young boy's going to miss it on that last one. It's like, that's just part of the game, but they got through it. Which makes it interesting. They'll meet each other 3 times this year. Because if things keep going on, they'll meet in the finals. And then if it keeps going on, then they'll meet in the finals for the Super 8. Then they'll probably meet in the finals for the Chiefs as well. And so there'll be another 3-year with them. 3-year battle with those guys. Kelston boys. Going to watch Kelston boys was a forward battle. To me, it was just a forward battle, you know. It was a wet game, you know. It was a wet game, and I kind of knew, you kind of like understand what kind of game it's going to be when you get out there. You know, that flipping wind at St. Kentigern's is always like that. You know, it's always so tricky. Even when you saw like Jarrell take, what was it, like a 56 meter kick, penalty kick. It was like, best case scenario is that it would have went over. Worst case scenario is that, the second scenario is that the boys chased hard, which is what they were going to do anyway. They all chased hard, kick went down, they all kind of made tackles, they all sort of try to get into a good position. And even when you watch the last clip that I posted of the finishing of the game, and if that ref ever sees it, like, he doesn't have that privilege of going up and having a second look and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, I actually thought that it was a penalty to Kelston. I don't think, I didn't see a tackle, then a release, and then a back over. I just saw all in one motion. And whatever the ref was looking at, he didn't see that. But that's what I kind of saw. And that whole game, and I give it up to the ref, because I thought he was a really good ref. I really did. I thought he was a good ref, because the way that it worked out was that the forward packs were the main contributors in this whole game. You barely ever saw the backs, to be honest. I mean, who was it? Like, Jarrell made some game, or he made some ground. Corpo was the other one that was there. Even Pola didn't get the ball that much. Ulutoa had a touch or two. Tyson passed him that fullback. You know, he did a lot of kickbacks down, but I mean, like, it was a lot of kicking. It was a lot of kicking, a lot of forcing the other team to make mistakes and forcing the other teams to, gamble with a lot of stuff, but it was all in the forwards. So to me, when the ref took this game on, his focus on the rucks, on the scrums, lineouts and that kind of stuff, like, I thought he did great. Because in that first half, VJ and D'Angelo and Riley, who were that front row for St. Ken's, really struggled. They really struggled with their scrums in that first half. And Tiano and Xavier and Solo really put the pressure on those St. Ken's boys, and they just couldn't get it right. And I've seen St. Ken's, I've probably seen like 6 games of theirs this year, and they've never scrummed like that before, and they've never struggled like that before with a pack. So to me, like, when I saw the first one, I thought, okay, that's just the first one. Bit of nerves and all that kind of stuff, getting into the feel of the game. And Solo just dominated his side. Tiano just, he dominated his side. But then it came to the second one, and then it came to the third one, and they just kept going. Like, I thought, man, St. Ken's has really got to, those boys have really got to lock this in. Like, Riley and VJ have really got to do something. Like, D'Angelo, to me, because D'Angelo's only year 11. So to me, that's not on him. He's not the one that sets that. But Riley, VJ have got to do their part on that, And it took to the second half for them to actually wake up to the fact that we've never scrummed this bad before. And then their second half, they really redeemed themselves. And they made some really key scrums matter at the right times. And this was down against Kelston in their 22 to 15 meter up against their line. And they really came back, which is kind of like what you like to see. Like, stuff up in the first half, fine, but finish the game strong. And that's kind of what St. Kitts did throughout that game, is that even though they had that in their first half, St. Kitts, I think, probably defended for like 25 minutes. I remember looking at my watch after the whistle blew for halftime, and I was thinking, oh, holy crap, like, they've been down here this long? And Kelston were just continuous. Kelston just had everything going. I mean, what's his name? Like, Laban, Papali'i, like, Keith, like, those guys, as a loose trio, were just so active, and were getting their heads into the dark places and just really putting pressure on them. Even the lock with like Seth and Nathan, like Nathan Orr and Seth Keefe, like those two, even at line-out times, even like Junior's so tall. Like Junior looks as like 6'7" already, 6'8", and those two had to try and really front up again, and they did a really good job. Io and Seth, Nathan, as they took like turns in that jumping that line out, they did really good against Junior. And Junior won some too. Like he was up in their face, had really good timing, but in that first half, like he had to really make a difference in that line out time and really disrupt them, because the scrums weren't working, set pieces were all the time, and I just saw Junior played really good against those three, and I think that kept St. Kitts in the game for a little bit, was that he was able to take that pressure off them a little bit by winning some of those lineouts. Because Desmond was getting some good runbacks, getting some good return ball, and I don't know if this is like his league side of it, but usually, like, obviously when you're number 8, you can run that ball, but then you're still taking care of the fullback position when they pull up into the line. So you got back, like he wasn't really dropping back, and I was thinking, oh shoot, if Gus from St. Ken's sees it as a first 5, and he sees that fullback and that have come up, which they did a lot, and no one was dropping back, he just needed that opportunity, and so it was strange to see, but like, he started dropping. I think he must have realized, or some of the boys must have told him, hey, you got to get back there if these guys are going to come up, because Tyson and the way that Tyson and them were moving the ball, and Jarrell was getting the ball through quick. Bowler was good because he's not like he doesn't need the ball to like make a difference on the game. And so he just kept the ball moving, played strong defense, and let Tyson and Jarrell run that back line. And because they kept moving up to the line, no one was dropping back, which is something I think St. Kitts was kind of waiting for, because, Ben Monahan is like, he's just like the king of kind of waiting for that opportunity. And he made a massive break, which in that first half where, in the first half, and I was thinking, man, like, someone's got to start running off him, and someone's got to get there, and Siale was, I think he ran the dummy, or he ran out wide and created that gap for Benjamin to sort of move into. But there was some of those times where it's just like, man, they really got to get the ball down the field and sort of get out of their half, because it really was like 25 minutes of them just defending within the 15-meter line of their try line. They did great to sort of hold them out for as long as they could, and even with the penalty count, like, a 10-8 finish is just massive. And St. Kentigern showed it right at the end how they sort of shut it down. They should have shut it down. How they shut it. I mean, having Sam and Gus at 9 and 10, I think really opened it up a little bit for them in the second half, where they were able to move the ball out. And because it was so wet, like, you weren't really going to try and spin it like it was like a dry day, but the backlines did it what they could. And the forwards on the day won the game, and St. Ken's forwards, to me, won that game. And they really bounced back. And it was funny, too, because I was kind of thinking about it on the other side. Is that, like, once we push through, once St. Ken's found that they could handle that forward pack in that second half, then they went through, and then they made Kelston make mistakes. They made Kelston push through, push passes that they weren't doing in the first half. They made them, sort of second doubt themselves. They were committing more to the rucks and getting them to work more, to get them out of there, which I thought was great. And it just paid off in the end. It paid off in the end, regardless of what that last call was, and regardless of what I think about it. The whole game as a whole was just massive to see these two games. And I know that Kelston have lost some games this year that I know that they probably shouldn't have lost. And the Kelston that I saw play against St. Kentigern is the Kelston that I was expecting to see this whole season. And yes, they've dropped some games, but I still think that they're a high class quality team. And in my mind, I can still see them making it to the finals for the 1A. St. Kentigern should be there, but I have a feeling they're going to drop a game soon. To who, I don't know. But I feel like there's going to be a game that they'll probably drop soon. Who is their next game against? Oh yeah, they play Liston soon too. Yeah. Anyways, that was the other game that I went and watched. It was like a really, really high class. It was so good to watch those two games. The other one I watched too was Pakuranga and Waitakere, and I mean, I say this all the time too, that there's players that they should be, I'm sorry, I'm just looking at the thing. There's guys in there that should be, they should be playing, 1A rugby. There's guys in those teams. Like, because I don't have their names, and this is kind of what annoys me with, schools and stuff like that, because I want to report them. I want to tell people who those guys are. I don't want to tell them there's this guy that was number 15 and there was this guy that was number 8 and the two number 8s were great and the number 7 was great, and it's like, because they were just numbers, I want to be able to say their name and tell people who they are and all that kind of stuff, but I don't know. It's up to you, schools. But it's kind of hard to talk about these guys when I can't, say who their names are. And look, the only name that they have here, I'm looking on the Auckland website, is the only name they want to recognise is Kevin Bush, who was the referee. Kevin Bush had a great game. Awesome guy. Ball-headed like me, old fella, kept up with the game, did what he can. But Pakuranga had some good players. They really did. I've wanted to see Pakuranga because I've noticed them, and I've seen 2 other games of theirs, and the number 15, and this is where the numbers are going to come into it. So if you're that number, bro, shot. But no one else is going to know. They're number 15 for Pakuranga, who I don't know if it's actually a 15 or first 5, but his skill set is crazy, and he's such a good player that he could easily start on a 1A roster and a super 8 roster. I wished one of the CNI teams would have picked him up because and like I don't want to down any of these schools that are in the 1B, but the big difference between the 1B and the 1A is the off the field stuff, meaning like their nutrition, their gym work, their the extra fitness, the coaching is different. Like that's what kind of makes it different, because like even when I was watching Waitakere and Pakuranga, is that like the size of the guys is kind of the size, but you could see the physique is different. Like the open side in number 8 for Pakuranga were great. Physique was different. But that if they were playing for someone like St. Peter's, or if they were playing for Kelston Boys or St. Kentigern or Kings, or went down to Fielding, or playing at St. Paul's Collegiate or Hamilton Boys, that these boys would be in the gym 3-4 times, pumping weight, getting their body ready, all those kind of things, which obviously makes you a better player because you're better physically inclined to be using those kind of movements and muscles and all that kind of stuff. All comes together. Waitakere was the same. They had a midfield who I thought was like really, really solid. That midfield was also guided around by a first 5 who I thought was really sharp, but he also looked like a midfielder player. He kind of looked like a fullback. I don't know if that number 10 for Waitakere was just filling in as a first 5, but he did really good. But he doesn't look like a first 5. Doesn't even play like a first 5. He actually plays like a midfielder. Like he should probably be a second 5. But the number 10, 12, and 13 for Waitakere were awesome. They were so good. Their halfback just needs to get the ball out faster. And if you're listening to this, bro, get the ball out faster. And what I mean by that is, that the tackles are going to be made there because you pretty much pass that guy the ball. Get the next guy running onto it right before you get to the ball. So you can pick that ball up and pass it. Don't pick up the ball or stand there and think about what you're doing. And this is not just to him, this is to most halfbacks in the country that play. Is like, if you're spending more than like 2 seconds at the base of a ruck, you're too long. It's too long. Like you've got to do more. There's got to be like there's got to be a rhythm to it as well. And if the rhythm is set with stand there, think about it, get down, pass, stand there, next ruck, stand there, think about it, get down, then you're not moving your team up the field fast enough. It should be tackled ball, I'm getting there, your ball, come here, come, carry. Come, carry. Your next, carry. We're going right, carry. All right, backs ball, and then out. Sometimes, and like when I watch a lot of these teams, is that some of them are just too slow. When it comes to it, and then you see all these advantages, and defenses are slow to get back, and because you're slow to pick up the ball, they have so much time to get themselves ready, when you could have just used one guy to hurry this play up, and then use the next guy to hurry it up again, and that defense would have been, backtracking the whole time. They'll get penalties, all that kind of stuff. But 1B teams have got to work on pace. They've got to work on, and teams that are at that level have got to work on those kind of things. Work on that pace, work on that recycling of the ball. Already knowing 2 rucks ahead what your game plan is going to be. This turned into a halfback little clinic, but it wasn't supposed to be that. I've gotten through some other games. I've got Rotorua, which I've already watched. Rotorua and Napier Boys that I've watched, and it's like high scoring game, a lot of ball movement, all that kind of stuff, but I want to watch it a little bit more. Even right at the end, getting a penalty try right at the end to score the game was a hard way to finish. It's real harsh. But I mean, if the ref called what he called, it's like, okay, yeah, that's fine. But one thing I did want to talk about. I want to talk about, and this is probably the first time I'm going to talk about it, is I will run through. Let's run through some top 10s, right? I will start with, let me get rid of this. Let me start with the top 10 players in the country. And I've always kind of maintained that you could take the top 15 guys and every one of them have everyone has a claim at why they're the number 1 player, and they're kind of not wrong. This is just my opinion, right? So as of right now, I've got George Prouting, who's a lock from Napier Boys, Charlie Sinton, who's the halfback from Tauranga Boys, Cohen Norrie, who's a fullback from Sacred Heart, Harry Inch, who's from Nelson College, Drell Vaianga, who's from Kelston Boys, Salmaki, who's from Nelson College, Dane Johnston, who's from Fielding, JD van der Season, who's from Westlake Boys, Johnny Falloon, who's from Rathkill, and then Xavier Leota, who's from Kelston Boys. Now, I am actually looking at, and this is obviously my computer's busted and I'm getting worked on that. I'm working on that stuff now. And it's taking ages for me to change it because I don't know how to do it on the phone, all that kind of stuff, whatever. Harry Inch right now, I am thinking of moving to number 1. Now, I've always known Harry as a physical first 5, a physical player who doesn't actually just do first 5, first 5 jobs, but he's also a heavy defender. I've never seen a first 5 that's that aggressive. Even Jarrell, who's a second 5 but can play first 5, is not as aggressive as what Harry Inch is on defense. Harry Inch on defense is like what Folau Fakatava was on defense as a halfback when he was at Hastings Boys. Who was the other one? He was the other halfback at St. Peter's, was the same like that too. Folau Fakatava was a halfback who kind of thought that he was a blindside flanker that was 6'6". That's how he kind of played defense as a halfback. So when you have a guy like Harry Inch, who not only is great distributing the ball, who's a great runner, who is really organized, who is a solid playmaker, but also can put the hit on as a first 5 on defense. I am looking at moving him to number 1, and George at number 2. And the thing with George too, right, is that I'm not looking for a lock. like I said before, like, I want you to just do your job. Coaches and selectors just want you to do your job. I don't want Harry trying to be a number 8 and running the ball from a number 8 position, or trying to be, you know, something different. I need him to do his position and do his role and tick those boxes off first before they do anything else. George Prouting is not only 6'7", 6'8", but he does exactly what he's supposed to do. He does exactly what he's supposed to do on defense. He runs the ball, he makes tackles, he moves bodies, and the thing is that he's only skinny, and that's fine. We know that George Prouting is going to be a big, massive, solid guy when he gets 19-20. So all this stuff is only going to benefit him the way he plays now. Like, if you go back and look at Sam Whitelock when he was at high school, same thing, skinny as. Even like Patrick Tuipulotu, who's kind of a thick guy now, is like, when you saw him in high school, he's a skinny fella. They weren't these big, massive guys at all. George Prouting's going to be like that as well. Because once you get into professional life, you start getting proper, you know, I mean, look at Sam Derry. Sam Derry's the same. I'll show you a picture of Sam Derry when he was like at high school. Skinny as dude. Zach Gallagher was the same. Now he's a monster. You know, now he's the monster. Like, these guys, but then the fact that George Prouting can have this much effectiveness in the tight game as he does, and he's a lock. He's not supposed to be making breaks and, you know, sidestepping guys and all that kind of stuff, because he's a lock. That's just what he does. But look at his role play that he plays in the team, and you can see his value. Any coach in that will tell you that kind of stuff. Cohen Norrie's the same. The only thing I feel sorry for Cohen is that he's stuck in that position where he has to play first 5 and fullback. He keeps changing, they keep switching him, you know, things like that. And so once he gets into reps, like in the Blues, like, they're going to put him in a position that, okay, this is what I'm doing, this is who I am, and then he'll really show what he can do. Drell's the other one as well. As Drell's, like, to me, Drell's a second 5. Maybe he has to play his first 5 in his team. That's fine. There's always like a real benefit to being able to, like, I think you've got to be really thankful that you can actually play the position that you want to play and play that the whole year without having to move. Back seems to be worse with that. They always seem to switch guys around just because of weaknesses in teams, and forwards be sometimes able to stay in the position that they're able to stay in, because, you know, it's not easy to move someone from the front row to number 8, or from number 8 to front row to hooker to open side. You know, you don't have that many athletes like that to do that consistently, whereas in the backs you can move them around a little bit. Durrell's the same, but Durrell to me is a second 5, and just the possibilities of that, him being second 5, like, if you had Charlie, like, obviously Charlie's my number 1 halfback. If you had Charlie Sinton, Harry Inch, and Durrell at 9, 10, 12, like, that's a scary thought to have, that you can be that good in those 3 positions with those 3 guys. You know, you just got to be blessed if you have like that kind of thing. And like, hopefully that's what the New Zealand team kind of looks like. But remember, I'm not a selector. I don't have any influence or anything. I just have my opinions, and these are my opinions. Salmaki is another one that I probably want to move up to first 5. Who do I drop out? Don't really know, to be honest. But Salmaki is just that dominant, that effective, way too strong, way too fast, way too explosive, amazing balance on the run, and obviously he's going to be selected. To me, I think he's going to. I say obvious, like, because I watched him from year 11. To me, it's obvious because I've seen what the changes and progress that they've made. I don't just see them and say, hey, check out this guy, and then I look at him and go, he's like the man. I was like, no, I know he's the man because I've seen him since he was year 11, and I've seen that big, massive progress that he's made through, and he's consistent. Dane Johnston is the other one too, from fielding as a prop. If you watch his games, if you watch all the fielding games, and I wish maybe I could get them to do a highlight reel just from this year alone, from this half of the year, see how much highlights that this guy has, and you're going to pick every aspect from the game, from his playmaking ability to his run game, to his power when he bumps off, to his speed and his acceleration, his propping, even his lifting in the lineouts, his cleaning up body. He does everything. He's just so good. JD Van der Westhuizen is probably the other one too, is that like moving him around, of course you want him out on the wing. The only thing is that if you're out on the wing, you just want him to get the ball. Like that's why I've always hated the fact is like, man, I'd hate to have a really good winger and then like tragic 12s and 13s and 10s that don't know how to get the ball to him. Because if that was me, I was just like, I'll just have to do exactly what I said before and go, I'll move into second 5 or centre. I just want him to get the ball. We need him to have the ball in his hand. JD, once he has the ball, and you don't even have to, honestly, you don't have to give him a gap. You don't have to give him, he'll just create it himself. He's too big, he's too strong, he's too fast, he's too explosive. He's too physical, he's highly skilled, really good footwork for a big guy. One thing I really wish I could see from him more is his footwork. Because most of the time he would just use his power and strength. Like even when like props and locks and Lucy's and even big midfielders think that they have him wrapped up, just his pure strength that he can just tear out of those tackles, so good. And then Xavier Lota, and Jimmy Falloon, who's obviously the other lock, who's just a big massive kid as well. Another 6'7". He's also only turning 17 this year as well. So he's not even going to be turning 18, he's turning 17 this year. Still played under 16 last year for Waitakere. But yeah, he's just a big, massive tree. And his IQ, rugby level IQ from last year to this year has just gone up so much. And it's really shown in the way that he uses his body in situations to create that advantage in terms of like, he will blow out 2 dudes to set his, to secure the ball, which allows your guys to go, oh no, I know Johnny can just smash these 2 guys over. We'll just drop back and just have that extra set of guys to make that extra pot. And like, that's the value that he kind of brings. He no longer hits the tackles and then drops to the ground, which he kind of used to do last year. He punches through tackles. He gets his upper half through the body of the tacklers. And now you can see him sort of looking around to see if there's any opportunities to pass that ball off. A little flaky in the beginning, but now it's like he's just a solid player. Xavier also, his downside is his size, and that's just his height. Everything else is just exceptional, exceptional. And his physicality really, really shows. And like sometimes I like with Xavier is that like I don't know. Like I have a sort of a toss-up between him and JJ Yosefo is probably the other one from Hastings Boys. Like those 2 hookers, JJ's only like a little bit taller than him, but they both have that same physicality. Run game's massive, creating space for other players, not greedy at all, like those kind of guys. And then they tackle at a high level too. Tackle, drive guys back. That's that kind of thing. So all these guys, to me, are guys that are all sort of number 1 contending players, and I could make an argument for all of them of why they should be number 1. Mitchell Swain's there too, just outside of the top. Mitchell Swan's out there who's just outside of the top 10, but he can also be considered. Blake Lidgard is the other one. Harry Law and Finn Mather are probably the other ones. Dan is another one too. Hidaka obviously is there. I don't know why Ben Monahan didn't make Blues under 18s. I was like, what are you fellas looking at? Obviously one of the best guys out there. James Moore moving the prop I thought was going to be a bad thing, but he's so good. All these kind of guys, like they all have that opportunity and to be there, to be the top players in the country and all that kind of stuff. And those are kind of the thoughts that I have on all these fellas. In the year 12s, Ollie Guerin's number 1 from Hamilton Boys, Cruz Simpson's number 2 from Sacred Heart College, Jacob Carter from King's College, Marco Milne from King's College, Nikolai Tahuya from Tauranga Boys, Siale Pahulu from St. Kitts, Logan Platt from Auckland Grammar, Alex Blazo from Palmy Boys, and then Alex Arnold from Hamilton Boys. Travis Finney, TJ Arnai, Palia, Sam Jancy, Bronson Van der Hayden, Liam Van der Hayden, Izzy Kamana, Elijah Solomon, Solomona, all these guys, are all top rated players as year 12s. All of these guys. And you can make an argument, you can make an argument for them. It's just one of those things. Ollie had a slow start. Cruz has had a slow start. Jacob has been great from the start. I thought, he's been playing a massive game. Him and Marco Milne have been playing massive games as well. Nikolai should probably move up to maybe number 2 or 3. He could be contending there. Liam's the same. Liam Van der Hayden's the same. As I've said before, I said earlier in this, is that New Zealand secondary schools should be his, should be something that he should probably be in discussions for, along with Jacob Carter as well as Ollie Guerin. I think this year, I have a feeling they might pick 4 or 5 year 12s this year. But a lot of these guys can do that. But also, I'm also really excited to see how dominant these guys are going to be next year. Like I've always said, next year's New Zealand secondary schools is going to be just so ridiculously talented, with so much size, so much height, so much ball playing, massive midfielders, fast as backs. We've got really fast backs. And I think the only position to me that's really open is probably halfback. Halfback's the one that I can see that is probably the most open, because you got Marco Milnes, he will be there. Liston, Vakauta is probably the other one. What's his name from St. Peter's? He would be another one that's up there too, because I think a lot of the play that comes from St. Peter's, what is his name? His name's Matt Harris. Matt Harris? Jeez. No, Matt Harris. I always get so many names too. I think it's Matt Harris. Him being in there, I think a lot of it comes from, even though Azan and Louis are great, but Matt Harris's speed is what I like. He's got one, but I think that's the position that's going to be really open, is going to be that halfback position. And Matt Harris, I think, is New Zealand potential 100% next year. 100% New Zealand potential. Him, Liston. Actually, Auckland has 3 really good halfbacks that I think is going to be a problem for them. It's going to be a problem for Auckland next year, for the Blues next year. But like I've said before, the locks we just got so many good locks next year. With Jacob Carter, Logan Platt, Alex Arnold, Sam Jancy is another one, but whether he's going to play a lock. Junior's another one from St. Kentigern. St. Kentigern's got 2 really good locks. Tom Perkins is another one from Nelson College. He's just so good, just so good, these guys. And then it's cool because I think even when you have guys like Jake Hutchings, who's a lock 6, Reed Parway's a lock 6, he's another one as well. Harry Cornelius is another one as well, obviously along with Junior Slade. like I said, from St. Kentigern's. Like, all these guys have that opportunity to really push their name for next year, but even by what they do this year. Because even like Hunter Weaver as well, who's he's going to be who's at Rotorua Boys right now. Him and Jake Hutchings, both of them together, I think, can make a case, sort of supporting each other in that way that they can be looked at and be selected and all that kind of stuff for next year. Just by the way that they can play together, and then they could sort of like pick them as well, together. This guy, Edward Weatherston, is another one too from Rathcoole College. Big white kid, is just solid, hard-hitting fella. Drives into tackles. Not a big-time runner, but he makes meters just based off the fact that he's big and strong. So, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you have that kind of play in your team? But yeah, that's a quick rundown on them. Quickly with the year 11s, because I know that year 11s are probably going to get annoyed. But anyway, Nico Stanley's still number one. Tiariki Rogers, Zacchaeus Schroger, Tiariki Rogers from Rotorua Boys, Zacchaeus Schroger from Wellington College, Stephen Nunn from St. Patrick's College Town in Wellington, Maxwell Kara from Hamilton Boys, Kessie from Manu Leleroa from De La Salle, Carter Pry from Napier Boys, Calvin Harris Tavita from King's College, and Panapa Paya from Hastings Boys, and then Tavita Fakava from Fielding. Then we got Luke Goodman, guys like that, Tua Soti, all these kind of guys who've had like really good years, even John T. Leary, George Nieburn, like Brady Tate, Reed Palmer's another one, D'Angelo Michaele, who's him and his brother, Nelson Tumalu is probably going to be the highest jumper and the year 11s once I get the rankings up, because I've actually moved them up to number 5, and the other one that I've moved up is Luke Goodman too. And here's the thing, is that we've got Nelson, we've got Luke, Tiariki, and Zacchaeus, and all these guys are number 8 blindside position players. All big runners, all, they just eat up a lot of meters, but the year 11s, all 3 guys are going to have a problem, because they're all the same size right now that you would want your loose forwards to be right now. All of them are over 6 feet. All of them over 6'2" or something like that. All big ball carrying runners, all good physical guys, all hard hitters, do a lot of hard work. But all of them are probably going to look at your nutrition over the next 2 years, because any bigger than they get, then they're going into the front row. Now, if they don't want to be front rowers, then you got to keep the fat down, you got to keep the agility up, you got to keep the fitness sharp, you got to keep the speed and explosiveness up, and you can't put on any more weight. Pretty much change that fat to muscle, and then you'll be able to stay up in that loose forward trio. Anything bigger, you're moving into the front row. And all those guys have to, all four of them have to take that advice and really think about it. Because if you get any bigger, they're gonna put you in the front row, and then you're going to be an agile kind of front rower. That's what they're going to look at you as. And remember, that's not really a bad thing. It's not a bad thing, but I just know that number 8s have this thing about moving into the front row. There was this other guy that was from St. Kentigern's. He moved into the front row, Tamaiti Williams, and he ended up being an All Black. So yeah, might not be that bad, But I mean, like, there's other guys too that have done that as well. I mean, like, you know, I know that our number 8s have this like thing about, you know, moving into the front row and that, but I think, you know, it's not a bad thing. You know, it's really not a bad thing. And I think sometimes maybe you just have to be shown. I mean, Ollie Norris, when he was at St. Peter's, Cambridge, he was a number 8. And then once he left school, he moved into the front row. Like, he's a Māori All Black now. And so it's not a bad thing. It's just, I guess, how you take it. Well, anyways, that's the pod today. I went over too long as I usually do, but keep sending in questions, keep sending in requests, keep giving me your opinions so that I can mull it over and, you know, test out my theories and my own kind of thoughts and beliefs. And yeah, we'll see what happens. I love doing this. Love you all. Later, ball.